Today we have Tim Haile with the Contra Costa Transportation Authority, and just a brief bio on Tim, and then he'll go into our topic about the GoMentum Station. Tim is responsible for the overall management of the authority, including the implementation of projects and programs identified in CCTA's voter-approved sales tax Measure C and Measure J, the growth management program, the congestion management program, as well as policies and procedures, the board-approved budget, and all administrative functions. So he does a lot for us. He previously served as CCTA's Deputy Executive Director, Projects, and has more than 23 years of experience in program management, public works, and transportation projects. So he's very qualified to take care of us. And Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you to speak about the GoMentum Station.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Kevin, and everyone at the Chamber for inviting CCTA to give you an update on GoMentum Station. And I also want to provide a little update on Contra Costa Transportation Authority in general. But again, Melissa introduced myself, but my name's Tim Haile. I'm the newly appointed Executive Director of CCTA. The board appointed me in December. You'll probably remember my predecessor, Randy Iwasaki, and he retired and went off to greener pastures and now working for Amazon Web Services. But I have taken the helm here at CCTA as of December, and really excited to serve you and serve Contra Costa in this new role. As Melissa said, I've been working at the authority since 2017 as the Deputy Executive of Projects, and really been responsible for delivering a lot of the projects and programs that you have seen or out of CCTA a number of years. I also have one of my colleagues with me, Matt Alfano. He's actually with AAA. He's actually our managing partner at GoMentum Station, and wanted to invite him in case you need to answer any questions or anything. And he is the Vice President of Mobility Innovation at AAA. And so kind of interesting, AAA is definitely looking to advance its organization. And so they have a whole innovative mobility department to really look at ways to advance transportation. But their primary goal is obviously to help their members really in terms of safety, improving safety for all their members at AAA, and how to leverage technology to do that, which is one of the sole purposes of them helping us manage GoMentum Station. So I wanted to kind of kick off our presentation here. Let's see if I can do this successfully. So Melissa's had about 30 minutes, so sit back, relax, and I'll take you on a tour of GoMentum Station. So before we get started, I think everyone knows who we are. We are Contra Costa Transportation Authority. We actually are funded by you by half-cent sales tax, and we actually generates about $2.7 billion that funds a number of projects and programs. We're also the county's congestion management agency. And then, as we'll talk about today, we actually are working with AAA and with our managing partner for GoMentum Station. We fund all aspects of transportation in Contra Costa County. We fund small projects such as bicycle and pedestrian projects, and also pavement projects. But we also fund very large infrastructure projects. And I'll cover and highlight a few of those much larger projects in the next slides. We also fund transit, we fund bus programs, we fund ferries, we fund Bart, but we also have fund programs for our seniors and disabled communities. We are a very well-known, highly rated organization. We're only 20 people, and we have no unfunded liability in our agency. I kind of brag because before I came to CCTA, I actually spent 14 years on the private sector. And so coming to CCTA, I actually don't even feel like I kind of work for the government, because we run this agency very efficiently, very streamlined, and really we're an outcomes performance-based organization. One of our main phrases is promises made, promises kept. And so our responsibility to you is to deliver what we've told you what we're going to deliver in the Transportation Expenditure Plan. The Transportation Expenditure Plan is split up into capital projects and programs, and we have delivered 90% of the capital projects in the transportation expenditure plan since Measure J started in 2004. And so we're really proud of that. And here's some highlighted projects. I'm sure you're very familiar with this project. We funded and helped construct the Caldecott Fourth Bore Tunnel project. This project is completely underground, as you know, and we are actually to construct this project under budget and on time, which is very, very rare when it comes to a tunnel project. And so the reason why that is because CCTA actually awards, advertises, and administers all of our projects into the construction phase. So we actually have an award-winning construction program. We are an owner of choice with our contractors based on the way we manage and partner with our contractors when we're building our projects. We also completed the Highway 4 expansion into East Contra Costa. So everyone should be familiar with this project. Very significant project, about $1.2 billion in funding. We also completed the Bart extension to Antioch. So this was from Pittsburgh Bay Point Station all the way out to the Antioch station, including that Pittsburgh Civic Center station. And in 2018, when we first opened this project, daily projections exceeded all expectations by 29%. We also opened up the ferry service in Richmond back in 2018. And so in the early parts of 2019, this ferry service also exceeded expectations in terms of daily ridership. I personally have ridden on the ferry over to the city. And if you haven't ridden in a ferry, I highly suggest that you do that. It's a very, very relaxing, very exciting trip. We also focus on local improvements. This is the I-80 Central Avenue Improvement Project in the city of Richmond. And these projects are really challenging because there's a lot of pieces to them. But we actually, this project, what we do is we make sure when we leave a project, it's completely finished. This is an example where all of this pavement was included with that interchange project that you can see in the background. And so what's important about this is we actually paved all the way up the road because of the condition of the pavement. When we got out there and started construction, we realized the condition of the pavement, and we realized that to really make sure we provide good customer service to all of you, our constituencies, we wanted to make sure we have good, clean pavement all the way across the project. We also fund Safe Routes to Schools bus programs for students. We have a successful bus program in La Miranda, which is Lafayette, Arenda, Moraga, as well as down in the San Ramon Valley. And we're not just focusing on highway and road projects, but we are completely multimodal. As I mentioned, we fund transit improvement projects. We actually funded the El Cerrito BART station. We also funded improvements to both the North and Concord BART stations. We also make multiple improvements or lots of improvements to trails throughout Contra Costa County. And so we are all things transportation at CCTA. The way we're able to do this is we're actually able to leverage every local dollar that comes into CCTA. We're able to leverage that 3-to-1 by attracting state, regional, and federal funds. So we've been able to attract $4.2 billion from the $1.4 billion that Measure C and Measure J have started. And this is on the capital side only, not the program side. So this is that 90% that I was talking about, for essentially a total investment of $5.6 billion in transportation improvements in Contra Costa County. So we're kind of thinking ahead towards planning for the future. As I think all of you realize, transportation is changing, especially now in light of coming out of a COVID-19 pandemic. Congestion, I'm sure as you're all realizing, congestion is already back. Congestion is probably potentially going to get worse because we can't rely on transit right now. But we all expect that transit will come back strong. And CCTA plans on taking a bigger role in helping improve transit reliability, connectivity. And so we all know by looking into the future that we have very constrained corridors, and we have to kind of think about ways to doing things differently when we're delivering our projects. And so one of the things we've developed on the 680 corridor, which the city of Concord is very, very involved in, is our Innovate 680 program. We're taking a more of a corridor approach rather than a project by project specific approach. And that really helps us look at how we can better integrate all of the different transportation options along the corridor, from transit, from walking, from biking, also to private options such as Uber and Lyft and other types of shuttle type programs. We're also looking on how to improve the person throughput, improve the access to the local road system as well as the state highway system on the 680. So really taking a full comprehensive corridor approach will really help us provide this really sustainable, integrated, reliable transportation system. And this approach, we're really kind of demonstrating it on the 680 corridor and then plan to expand it onto other corridors like 24, Highway 4, the I-80 corridor. We're also extremely bullish around clean air and making sure we're working towards reducing those greenhouse gas emissions and meeting our goals for cleaner air in Contra, Costa, and in California. And we're doing that through the development of a vehicle miles traveled program. So right now we kind of measure congestion based on the amount of vehicles that are in the space. And this is looking at a different approach of measuring congestion by vehicle miles traveled. So how many miles are people having to travel to get to their destination or commute to their destination? And we're developing a framework of how to mitigate that to help reduce congestion and reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to resulting in cleaner air. A big component of that is working towards adoption of a zero emission vehicles. So we've developed an electric vehicle readiness blueprint to really help with the implementation of adoption and ZEV. And this is an interesting statistic, but Contra Costa is the 6th county in the state highest adoption of zero emission vehicles in the state. So that's really interesting. So we're making, the purpose of this blueprint is to make sure we can provide the infrastructure to maintain that and meet that rate of adoption of zero emission vehicles in Contra Costa County. We also have a growing aging population as well as disabled communities within Contra Costa, and we have to make sure we provide accessible transportation for all. So today, in today's world that we provide, we fund paratransit, but there's also a number of public and private paratransit services that are operating in silos. And so this is our approach to help integrate that into one system to really help make paratransit and transportation, accessible transportation, more efficient for all. So that way it doesn't take someone 4 hours and 3 transfers to go from East Contra Costa to West Contra Costa. It takes, one ride, one transfer. And as you all know, this is really intended to be an update about GoMentum Station, but Contra Costa Transportation Authority really leads the state, the nation, and potentially I can even say globally in the development of autonomous vehicles and connected vehicles and innovation. And so we were one of the very first agencies in California to test the shared autonomous vehicle on public roads. And this is going through Caltrans and going through DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, as well as our private partners and our public partners, working through the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, as well as the Federal Vehicle Motor Standards, to be able to deploy this type of technology on public roads. This technology is what's called level 4 autonomous technology. It has no steering wheel, no brake pedal, no gas pedal, and it fits about 10 to 11 people. So we tested this shuttle called the Easy Mile Shuttle for almost 3 years. And now we've moved on to the next generation of shared autonomous vehicle, which is, we call it the Ollie 2.0 shuttle. It's made by Local Motors. This shuttle is happened to be made in the USA. And so it meets all the requirements for Buy America in terms of a lot of the grant funding and federal funding. It goes a maximum speed of about 25 miles an hour. It's 100% electric. The chassis of the vehicle is actually 3D printed. So we're actually testing that vehicle as part of the automated driving system grant that we received from US DOT back in 2018, which supports 3 projects. What's really fascinating is that there was 73 applications and only 8 grant awards. Out of the 8 grant awards, there was only 1 local agency that was funded across the entire nation, and that was Contra Costa Transportation Authority. All of the other 7 grant awardees were all departments of transportation, state Department of Transportations, and universities. And the 3 projects really look at ways to advance this technology to support and maintain quality of life, and also to look for ways to adapt and leverage this technology to support particular use cases, so that way we can maintain people's transportation needs and quality of life. So the first project is Rossmoor. It's a large elderly community near Walnut Creek. And we're looking to see how this technology can help them get around within the Rossmoor community, to the clubhouse, to the store, to the movie theater. And this vehicle will actually kneel, and so it's also American Disabled Act compliant, ADA compliant. And so we're looking at how this vehicle will be able to really work with our growing aging and disabled communities at Rossmoor. And once it's actually up and running at Rossmoor, where we will invite others to come and ride in the shuttle when it gets deployed. The other project is looking how we can integrate this technology into the county health system. There's a growing rate of absenteeism at the county hospital in Martinez because of the lack of accessible transportation. And so we want to look for ways to integrate this technology in a way to, so when you try to make an appointment, you would be able to make sure, or the person making the appointment with you would be able to make sure you have accessible transportation. If you do not have transportation, we would deploy this on-demand shuttle right to your house to be able to take you to your appointment. The third project is personal mobility on Interstate 680, and this is also part of our Innovate 680 program. And we are testing essentially three use cases. This is really looking at how to leverage wireless communications to enable completely connected and autonomous vehicles within the state highway and local road system. And it's really looking at if platooning. So platooning is when 5 or 6, 7 autonomous vehicles are following very closely to each other and they're platooning down the freeway. If the autonomous and connected vehicles are able to do that, would there be additional capacity available in the lane to be able to bring in more vehicles or more importantly, public transit into the state highway system? The other use case is looking at how we can take 5 or 10% penetration of connected vehicles and harmonize those vehicles with non-connected autonomous vehicles to help improve traffic flow. So essentially use connected and autonomous vehicles to meter traffic in the 680 corridor to help mitigate and reduce congestion at those critical bottlenecks like at the 24 interchange. The third use case is safety. So how can we take real-time information and collect data from these vehicles to be able to avoid collisions, side swipes, as well as near misses, close calls with pedestrians and bicyclists on our local road system to really meet our Vision Zero goals to reduce or eliminate fatalities for walking and biking in our county. All 3 of these projects all start at GoMentum Station. We test all of this technology at GoMentum Station first, and then we roll it out and demonstrate it in the particular project sites or project areas. But we always test all of this technology at GoMentum Station first, and so this is some of the exciting things that are happening at GoMentum Station, and we're doing all of this in partnership with AAA. One of the other exciting projects is Glideways. This is a 1 to 2 person shuttle that's about 6 feet wide and about 8 feet long. It can actually run you can actually run 2 of these side by side in a 12-foot lane, which is the width of a standard lane on the highway or on a road. And so the idea is that these vehicles are self-docking and that you would be able to order this vehicle, it would arrive, you would get in this vehicle, it would take you to your destination or to high capacity transit like a ferry or BART or public transportation. It's really there to help serve as a first and last mile solution to get people to other modes of transportation like transit. We're testing this technology at GoMentum Station. The vehicle actually arrived yesterday at GoMentum Station. And so we're really excited to be partnering with Glideways to see and how this technology will benefit Contra Costa. We are actually going to be, if you're familiar with the brand new regional park, East Bay Regional Park District, which was the easterly half of the former Concord Naval Weapons Station, we're actually looking to use this technology to go from the future visitor center of the regional Concord Hills Park over to the North Concord BART station. So GoMentum Station, it really provides the city of Concord with really a front row seat to the future. It really provides a lot of opportunities both for CCTA, Concord, but regionally for the Bay Area, and have direct access to technology in Silicon Valley and bringing that technology up to Concord. So I have a short video that I wanted to share with you. It gives you some background and history of what GoMentum Station is and what we actually provide at GoMentum Station. And actually, hold on one second. I need to set up my screen so you can hear the video, the sound. So one second, please.
Welcome to GoMentum Station, a private and secure 21. Welcome to GoMentum Station, a private and secure 2,100-acre proving ground for connected and automated vehicles, conveniently located in Concord, California, 35 miles from San Francisco. We're the nation's largest closed-course AV test track with various environments for repeatable, automated vehicle testing. Engineers from OEMs and AV tech startups use our facility as an integral part of their development process to validate simulator results, perform safety operator training, and test NCAP scenarios and edge cases without risk to the public. Multiple distinct testing zones allow our customers to validate their AV stack in real-world scenarios with a variety of roadways, speed limits, and features such as railroads, city blocks, construction zones, and tunnels. Infrastructure features include programmable traffic signals, merge lanes, traffic circles, and bike lanes, making GoMentum Station an even more versatile space for closed-course testing. Most recently, our Vehicle to Everything, or V2X Lab, opened for traffic engineers to test their connected technology on our DSRC-enabled signals installed at 5 intersections. We also offer a range of automated vehicle testing services that can scale to the size and needs of your operation, including equipment rental, test plan development, engineering support, and result analysis. GoMentum Station is owned and operated by AAA of Northern California, Nevada, and Utah, and is part of our ongoing commitment to safety on the road by enabling the safe development and deployment of AVs. Whether you're testing commercial trucks, passenger fleets, or connected technology, visit us at GoMentumStation.net today to see how we can help you meet your AV testing needs.
So hopefully everyone was able to see that. For some reason, I can't see everyone's faces anymore, but what we have done at GoMentum Station is essentially created a globally renowned program to support private partners to test new technologies. And part of the stimulus that did that was an original $3.5 million budget that we received from the governor back in 2018. We matched that dollar for dollar with private revenue from our partners at GoMentum Station to help provide a number of roadway configurations, striping configurations, better access to infrastructure, as well as the state-of-the-art signal lab that was mentioned in the video. And since then, utilization at GoMentum Station continues to rise at just a huge rate. The two dips in this chart indicate when we had shelter in place last year. April 2020 of last year, and then just as recently back in January. But if you were going to just, really ignore those dips and draw a straight line, you can just see that reservations have increased by at least by triple the amount since April of 2020 or since January of 2020. And so this is just a testament that we have a very high utilization. It used to be that we only have 1 to 2 partners per week testing at GoMentum Station, and now we have 1 to 2 partners per day testing at GoMentum Station. And what does that do for Concord? That really brings people, partners, and really brings global recognition to the city of Concord through GoMentum Station. Through some of our partners, through social media, through access to GoMentum Station. Some of our partners bring entire teams to Concord to be able to test their technology. For example, Silicon Valley, they do a lot of software engineering down there, and then they bring that technology up to GoMentum Station. And GoMentum Station is in a prime location to San Francisco, to Silicon Valley, to be able to provide them access so they can test their hardware that they're developing down in Silicon Valley. So essentially, GoMentum Station is really an extension of Silicon Valley, but in some ways, it's turning into its own job center for technology in Concord and in Contra Costa. So our partners that we have out there are continually looking for needs to keep the testing moving forward. And so some of the primary ones is, on-site storage, high-speed internet connectivity. In fact, one partner needs connectivity so much that they actually point satellites at GoMentum Station during testing to be able to upload their testing data directly to the cloud, and then they can retrieve it down in Silicon Valley so they can get real-time changes and updates. Without that connectivity, testing is happening more in an iterative process. And so this is a real big need or want by our partners, as well as additional equipment, more access, more improvements such as research facilities, parking, also having facility sharing, so additional zones, partitioning of zones, also having additional testing zones on site. Right now, we're only limited to 8 testing zones, and we would appreciate to have more as we're kind of looking towards the future. Over the next 2 to 5 years, we did a research lab so they would be able to actually do their testing and development on site at GoMentum Station, making sure we're able to partition the zones and days to get more testing, more utilization based on the access and based on the requests from the partners. And then obviously simulation and condition testing and weekend and night testing. So what does that do? In order to really enable all of that, well, we're going to be working with the city of Concord in the very near future to really set up a long-term agreement, as well as designated of innovation zones as part of the new base reuse master plan. So this is active coordination with Concord. Concord's been a great partner in GoMentum Station, and essentially what we've been doing is building upon the foundation that we built 5, 6, 7 years ago, and slowly been putting the building blocks on that to really bring in additional partners and have that long-term commitment. Because if we have the long-term commitment, then we can attract more dollars, more investment, and more partners into Concord. And so since then, since we reopened last spring, after that first shelter in place in April of 2020, there has been 479 visitors, and 81 of those visitors have been on site 6 or more times. So again, this demonstrates the utilization of the site. And what does that mean? It means there's a lot of people coming to Concord. If you project that over time and more partners, it's going to increase dramatically over the next 6 months. Our partners are starting to consider adding satellite offices in Concord, bringing businesses into Concord. And by having those on-site facilities and satellite offices, it actually it reduces the amount of time. It also reduces the amount of travel and the amount of vehicles on the road getting to the site every single day. And so it really creates a number of opportunities for Concord. rental office and storage space, establishment of satellite offices, private investment in Concord's infrastructure. So we're working with Concord right now of identifying some roads within Concord to allow our partners to test in more of a public environment or real world environment, as well as state-of-the-art technology. And then obviously a permanent innovation zone, a permanent place, a permanent home for GoMentum Station as part of the Concord reuse development of the Concord Naval Weapons Station. And I already mentioned this several times, but really Concord is established and GoMentum Station is established as a test bed of choice for Silicon Valley ahead of other options that might be available, such as Castle Air Force Base and Merced. So that concludes my update and presentation, and really appreciate the time that you have for me today, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Wow. Wow. So as a business person and former financier and somebody who pays a lot of taxes and pays attention to stuff, your presentation was actually, you know, I could see all the benefits. I could see how we're part of the community, the history of it, what we need to do as a community in order to keep this going, what you're shepherding, what you're guiding. So I hear, as I'm just saying, as a business person here and somebody who lives in Concord, I'm hearing you loud and clear, and that affects the way that we vote. And also I'm an alternate on the Measure X board. And so there's all kinds of money, people vying for that. So I'm on there. So I'm hearing you. It makes a lot of sense. And then when I hear these other things on these other things that I'm part of, now it'll make more connectivity. Mm-hmm. And now I'll actually be able to go, no, wait a minute, let me call Tim Haile. He'll be able to give me us in front of the whole group. So yeah, good. Keep up the good work.
Tim, this is so exciting to see in the testing form. What's the timeline? When can we, because I'm not getting younger, when is the timeline we can see these, the autonomous vehicles actually on the streets and doing the job that they're designed to do?
So we're really excited about the local motors shuttles, the Ollie 2.0 shuttles. And so we are looking to deploy those out at Rossmoor by early next year. And so we are hoping to have some demonstrations to get actual people to actually ride in these vehicles sometime next year.
Great.
And Tim, if you don't mind if I jump in, this is Matt Alfano from AAA. From the private sector perspective, it's kind of why we're actually talking about the future of GoMentum and why we think it has this unique opportunity in Concord. You can go to San Francisco now and you can see Waymo's cars testing there because they have an established footprint there. But if you look at the companies that test with us, and by the way, I don't think we have a slide with logos, but if you can name an AV company, they're working with us. I can just guarantee you that. If we lean into the establishment of GoMentum, they can be testing on streets, they can be present, and that drives in, it becomes a sort of a live test bed, and it sort of becomes ingrained in the community because they're going to be there. And so why not? Okay, let's, we can start to see them in real form as opposed to on a video on our webpage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A great presentation. It's exciting. It's right here in Concord. Love it. And it seems to me like other technologies probably spinning out of that. If you could answer that, and then I have one more question after that. Because you mentioned a few times like other technologies. What do you have any examples like?
So you're talking about other technologies coming out of GoMentum Station?
Yeah, just with doing this. The automated cars, I would imagine maybe like assembly line stuff or, kind of use of that technology. Will it spin into other things? So,
yeah, so we haven't really, what we're really hoping for is really bringing, some sort like local motors, for example, right? by working with them and working closely with them, our main objective is to create jobs in Contra Costa as part of GoMentum Station. That's our main objective. And so, we've been talking with Local Motors and other partners about, bringing more facilities to Concord and really not just testing facilities, but production facilities and so forth. And then the other terms in terms of technologies, I mean, when you think about GoMentum Station, you think about immediately connected and autonomous vehicles, but there's so much more to GoMentum Station than just connected and autonomous vehicles. Like, for example, we are using GoMentum Station to really support a lot of the things that we're doing as part of our Innovate 680 program. And one of those things is transit reliability and transit priority. So for example, part-time transit lane and bus on shoulder lanes. And really testing new technologies to make operations of transit safer on our local roads and on our freeway system. The other things that we're testing is transit priority systems. And so rather than prioritizing an empty bus on a local road, we want to prioritize full buses along local roads. And so we are actually testing wireless connectivity with the system on the bus that knows how many people are on the bus, with this traffic signal controller, and then with a transit signal priority system that sends the request because it knows that that bus is 50% more people. It sends a request to the traffic signal to prioritize that bus to the traffic signal. And so there's multiple technologies that we're testing at GoMentum Station in terms of innovation and connectivity.
Cool.
And so the other thing that we're doing as part of our GoMentum Station program is we're developing a mobility as a service application. And if you don't know what that is, that's essentially a mobile application where you put in your origin, your destination. It gives you all your mobility options so you can schedule, pay, and keep track of your trip as you're traveling, whether you're in your car, in a bus, walking, biking, a shuttle, and it provides the connectivity and the framework to get you around in Contra Costa and to other places. And then you'll actually receive rewards and incentives and benefits by taking different modes of transportation. So we're actually developing that mobile application as part of our program through another grant that we got from US DOT about 3 years ago.
Well, cool. That answered it perfectly. That's awesome. My last question is, will Bart ever go down 680 towards San Jose?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's an argument I have with my neighbor. So thank you. I'm right.
Well, but maybe if we want to end on the sort of the happier side of this, to add to the things on mobility, it's really anything about automation. So last mile robotic delivery, we have semi trucks out there, so long haul shipping. So anything that's going to involve being connected, autonomous. It's not just sort of private cars. It's those things. And I jokingly told our team, by the end of the year, I want us to be able to have somebody, when they deliver lunch to GoMentum, I want to be able to put it in some sort of transportation system and have it robotically delivered to us. So we don't have to go to the gate and get it. We don't have to have an escort. These are the things we're working on out there and we want to see come to life.
So I have a question. I think it probably was about 7 years ago now that I attended one of the GoMentum, the 2-day conference at the Hyatt or Holiday Inn, and I think it was the first GoMentum 2-day. It was a conference drawing all of the elements of autonomous vehicles together to speak. It was really fascinating. But I know that the biggest issue that came out of that, because I was reporting it at the time, the biggest question that came out of that was bandwidth. That we have all these great ideas, we have all these plans, we have this innovation available to us, but we don't have available bandwidth to implement everything. Where are we with that now, 7, 8 years later?
So that's a very good question. So that's actually why AAA got involved. So GoMentum Station has been so successful, right? And it got to the point where CCTA as a government entity, it was getting too big to actually manage on our own. We didn't have the bandwidth to really manage that and continue to implement. So we reached out to and AAA came to the table as a managing partner and aligned with the goals that we have, you know, for GoMentum Station, for advancing safety, advancing technology, advancing transportation. And so AAA has been a wonderful partner in GoMentum Station, and they've been able to bring the additional resources to the table to be able to help us with that bandwidth. You know, it used to be at CCTA, we had one person managing GoMentum Station. Now, Matt in AAA, how many people you have, Matt? I think 5 or 6 now?
And getting bigger.
And getting bigger.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think at the time the discussion was actually around internet connectivity, that it's not just the people available to do it, but bandwidth in the original sense of the word, that with the great ideas and all of the innovation, we don't have the connectivity to do it.
5G is going to help that a lot, and then you can short haul that in and then long haul it there. The mesh network will be created for sure.
Yeah, we, as part of the automated driving system grant, we're working with Nissan and Verizon to really understand exactly what Matt was talking about. What is the broadband? What is the bandwidth? What is the communication needs to be able to collect and analyze this data in real time on the broadband network, as well as in the cloud. And so, in fact, I'm actually going out in a few weeks to go look at a new data center in Stockton. And so we have, CCTA is really taking a bold, proactive approach to data. We're actually doing a digital infrastructure feasibility study for the entire county right now, identifying where existing fiber is, where we're going to need new fiber. And so we need to better understand, to your point, the connectivity and what our bandwidth issues are going to be. So we're looking at wireless connectivity. There's also this thing called multiple edge computing, so where you can store data on the edge, and then also store data in the cloud, and then obviously on-site storage at a data center. So we are developing a data architecture to support the amount of data that's going to be coming out of these vehicles.
So there's been considerable progress since, what, 7 or 8 years ago when it was like.
Absolutely.
Good, cool, okay.
Mr. Walker?
Yeah, I was just curious, do you consider this broadband communication pipe, whatever, all that encompasses, do you consider that as infrastructure?
We do at CCTA, we consider that infrastructure. We call it digital infrastructure.
So part of the current president's bill, they're arguing over the definition of infrastructure. So I'm just, you know, I remember back in the 50s and 60s and 40s when they built the highways, big argument over whether that was really infrastructure, right? Now today, we can't even imagine not having it be called that. It's the same argument over and over and over again. So I was just curious, okay.
Yeah, and just so you know, as part of the federal reauthorization bill, as part of the transportation bill, is also a part of the release of the governor's budget this past Friday. There are dollars in there for broadband infrastructure.
Any other questions for Tim?
Yeah, I have a question. Tim, I'm with Meals on Wheels Dablo region, and as you can imagine, we serve a large population of seniors and people who have different struggles with transportation and accessibility to transportation. Where does the work that's going on at GoMentum Station fit in with your accessibility transportation strategic plan? And how do you work, especially, you know, with what you have going on at Rossmoor, to really make sure that, I'm sure there's an extra sensitivity, or at least I would hope there is, around making sure that safety is of the utmost priority when dealing with folks that are elders and people with disabilities?
I mean, absolutely. Safety is always our #1 priority. And you know, it's interesting as we deploy these vehicles, you know, in Rossmoor, you know, there's probably going to be an attendant, even though you don't need an attendant, you're probably going to have an attendant anyways, as you're deploying these vehicles, because as we've worked within focus groups, you know, there is a concern about safety with shared autonomous vehicles because there is no attendant. And so we recognize that, we know that. And so that's something that we are considering in terms of the full deployment of these vehicles. So and in terms of accessible transportation, you know, again, there would definitely be an attendant there on an autonomous vehicle, you know, to help with, you know, a disabled or elderly person getting on or off one of these shuttles. We are also, I didn't mention this, but as part of the Martinez project, the Martinez the Martinez Hospital project, we are actually testing automated wheelchair constraint systems on those shuttles as well. Does that answer your question, Caitlin?
Yeah, and I'm sure you see this as a way to really open up the options of accessible transportation to folks that currently lack, you know, options.
It is ideally, so the vision, I mean, you have the accessible transportation strategic plan, and you know, that'll get addressed immediately with the current available technology in terms of, you know, public and private transportation. We're looking towards the future, and really our vision is we're kind of looking towards shared autonomous vehicles. You know, that's why we're so interested in testing these, deploying these, trying to figure out how to operate and commercialize these, because we really truly believe that this is a first and last mile solution for all. And it will be way more, I'll put it this way, County Connection, one of our transit operators, right? They actually did an analysis of what it would take to have complete first and last mile transit operations throughout all of the local roads and communities. And in order to produce that with the number of drivers that would be needed to do that, you would actually increase operating costs by 3 to 4 times. So it's in order to really truly to provide that first and last mile service to get people to transit, you almost have to rely on a shared autonomous vehicle. And so that's why we're excited about this and pushing this technology so much. And our vision is to deploy like 100 of these things, right? Not just a few of them. We're talking, you know, full commercialization and deployment of these vehicles, obviously when it's safe. That's our main priority, is safety. You know, I don't know if you know this, but we were hoping to be the first in the nation to test the SAV on public roads, but Las Vegas, Nevada actually beat us to it, you know. And so our main goal, the reason why we took so long, is because we were testing these vehicles at GoMentum Station in its real world environment to make sure that they were safe. Hopefully that answered your question.
Answered mine.
Great. Well, thank you, Tim, for the update and presentation. I think that was insightful for everyone to hear about. So we appreciate you coming on here and sharing with that. And, you know, I did see a comment in the chat that sounds like maybe we can have a chamber mixer or a tour here soon. Yeah. So hopefully once we get back into being able to meet, we can schedule something bigger for the wider membership to come out and see it.
Yeah, and just so you know, I will be giving this presentation to City of Concord City Council on June 1st. So I'm excited about that too, to provide the council with an update of what we're doing out at GoMentum Station.
And we can share out that information too for everyone, so they know where to go to watch that. So thank you again, Tim. We do have 2 representatives from our elected officials' offices. If you would like to share an update, if not, that's okay. But Colleen and Tara, do you have anything that you'd like to share?
Sure, I've got a quick update. I'll just make 2 quick announcements because our board meeting went very long today. The big thing right now is we have our school campus vaccine sites going on. As some of you may know, we're trying to get up our vaccination rates here in Concord, across the county really, but we are trying here in Concord. And over the next roughly 6 weeks, there's going to be there's going to be clinics set up at 3 of our Concord high schools The first started today, actually, May 18th, and will run till through the 22nd at Concord High. And then next week, they'll be over at Ignacio Valley High from May 25th to May 29th. And then the first week in June 1st to June 5th over at Mount Diablo High. And then they'll rotate back through for the second round of shots. But it's really to try to get some more of our folks vaccinated. If you are 12 and older, you are eligible for the vaccines. If a minor is, there's also a consent form that needs to be filled out for minors. And so that's a big effort that's going on right now. There's information on the supervisor's website, as well as we'll be sending out more e-blast, and the city of Concord has also sent out the information as well. And the other announcement I have right now is fire season is upon us. And as of May 26th, all high grass and weeds really need to be cut down to be in compliance. Ideally, you want to have your weeds and grass to about 3 inches and have a defensible space around your home. Contra Costa Fire Protection District has several different resources and pamphlets about how to create that protective space. And those are the 2 big things going on right now. If anyone has any questions about current county stuff going on, always happy to answer those. Otherwise, that's it from me.
Colleen, just a quick question. You mentioned May 26th. I think CAL FIRE's deadline is May 15th.
So that's for Central County for Confire.
Yeah, okay.
May 16th for East County, and that's again
For East County. Great, okay.
Yeah.
We're ready. We're done.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but your dog is still in the show right now.
Yes, she is, because she's barking all day, and this is the only way sometimes she'll be quiet if I'm speaking, is if she's on my lap. Or growling.
Thanks, Colleen. Tara, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, just really quickly, we held a grants workshop last week that I hope maybe some of you saw. If you didn't, it's on the link to it is on our Facebook page. I just want to put the reminder out. We send out a monthly grants newsletter that has listings from different federal agencies that show all eligible applicants. And our office is available to write letters of support for grants, for federal grants. So I just want to put that reminder out there. It's good to see everyone.
Thanks, Tara. And quick update from the chamber. We are wrapping up the grant program that we are administering for the city of Concord. So we'll be getting information out soon to those who were awarded the grant. We were very appreciative that the city had chosen us to help administer this, and great insight into our business community and helping get $950,000 back into our landlords' pockets. So helping with the commercial rent relief. We do have Shop Concord that is starting up next Wednesday. So that is a second round of funding from the city for Shop Concord. So you can buy a $50 gift card and get a bonus 25, or buy a $20 gift card and get a bonus 10 at participating businesses. If you know of any businesses that you would like in the program, just let us know and we can reach out or let them know. We've had some great turnout from the first round that we did around Thanksgiving. We've had many businesses have thousands of dollars come back, and that's just what we're seeing. So a lot of great business with that, keeping our dollars local. So again, that starts next Wednesday. Our last event for the month is this Thursday, and that is our mixer. We will have Allison Shu, the Director of Clinical Operations for the Behavioral Health Center for John Muir here in Concord, speaking about mental health awareness. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. So she'll have a quick update on that, hopefully a little update on a work-life balance, especially through COVID. And then we'll break out into breakout rooms so we can network a little bit revolving around mental health awareness. So that is what we have. I see Patience, you have your hand up. Do you have something you want to share?
Thank you. I wanted to share that the Workforce Board has a Business and Economic Development meeting on June 2nd, 3 to 4:30. At this meeting, some of you have asked about Small Business Development Center. For the first time since Workforce Board stopped hosting it and Oscar left, the SPDC has hired a new interim director. So there's an interim director now for SPDC for Contra Costa County. We haven't had one since 2009 when we stopped being the host. We're inviting him to come and speak to the business committee of the board on June 2nd. And I welcome you and your small businesses and anyone you know who's interested in connecting to attend the meeting. Both William, Kevin, and Melissa get the invite so they can forward it to you. He has also expressed interest in connecting with the chambers and economic development bodies and any association or groups that want to talk to him and meet him. I figured this is a good way for us to bring him back into the county and introduce him to the partners and the chambers and all. So wanted to give that heads up.
And then one other thing too, the June 15th government meeting, Tim Grayson will be on hand to bring a legislative update, kind of a year-end wrap-up. So, and I have to go. Thank you, Tim, very much. Really appreciate. Yeah, thank you so much. But I got to run. So thank you, everybody. See you next month.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again to Tim, and we will see everyone soon. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Great job, Tim. I'll reach out. Thank you very much. That was
Thank you.
Really interesting, man.